Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect, One Word Conversations. One Word Conversations is a relationship building, self discovery conversation designed to invite you to look at your language. Many times we say all the wonderful words that we can think of and still find ourselves in a place of disconnection. Well, I propose that we have a one word conversation so we can learn a little bit more about ourselves, the person that we're speaking with, and possibly, just possibly, build on our relationship. Most of you know that one word conversations is on Friday and Saturday. I announced yesterday on my anniversary show that our Saturday, moving forward, our Saturday episodes will be playing with words. So I'll have up to 5 other guests with me. Everyone will bring a word and we'll play with our words. I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun. One Word Conversation is brought to you by IamWilliamBrown.com, a place to help you be yourself and live your life. One way that I spotlight what's available at the I Am William Brown store is our U cards. Our U cards are intention setting cards, and they're a game, and they're also a journal prompt. They are a part of the Beyond the Shell series that includes 2 children's books. One, Finding You Beyond What Protects You, and The Journey to Stay You. And there's also You Are Complete Journal. So all those things are a part of the Beyond the Shell series, and you're welcome to get it. So I picked the cards, and these are the cards that I have for today to set our intention. I am full of joy, you are worthy, and be you, the world will adjust. This is the moment where I invite you to like, share, subscribe, all those things. Let me know that you are also a part of this conversation. And I'm just excited about this. Is one of those mystery word days where I invite my guests to come in and hear the word for the first time. We have it's like our resident guests, right? Once a month, Abby comes in and we have lovely conversations. So I will bring Abby in so we can have a conversation.
Hello, good morning.
Happy today to you.
Happy today.
Now, a creature of habit, this is the moment where I invite my guests to introduce themselves however feels comfortable. So I guess you got to introduce yourself, right?
Right, for those of the viewers who haven't seen me yet.
Right.
I am Abby Spindelman. I am the founder of Intimacy Alive, which is a um, uh, personal growth business where I help people explore their emotional, physical, and energetic intimacy. I'm also a creative and business partner in a local custom frame shop. And I am a dreamer and a doer. So big dreams and small actions every day.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm like with you. We are in the same club and we're in the same tribe. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're going to enjoy the word today because my dreamer label is like dealing with some things right now. And this word kept on coming up, and that I wanted to manage or just get an understanding of it. So with that, er, with that in mind, my mouse is like doing some crazy things. It's not. Uh, so it's all right. Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. Should I
Da-da-da.
do a drum roll?
Here we go. There's the word. So
Mm, yeah.
so
Oh.
Abby, how does the word expectations land for you?
Well, this is really funny because my expectation was that my dog would be super chill and behave, and she is currently biting the chair and me. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Okay. So expectations to me is something that is it's funny because I have a very I've written a blog post about this and I talk to my clients about this, especially in relationship, that when we have expectations,
Mhm.
it can sometimes kill the opportunity of like what it actually is.
Right.
And pardon me just for a second.
No, it's great.
No. Oh my goodness.
She wants to be part of one-word conversations, right?
She does. She wants to play. Oh my goodness. So, oh my gosh. I'm trying to teach her not to bite. And so, this is a perfect example of expectations. So,
Right.
when I was adopting her, she, they described her as, ow. They described her as super chill and, very much like just a lazy dog, like doesn't like to play with toys. And she's young, so she's like 2.5. And so when I first met her, she was so cuddly and snuggly and like just really lovely. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a great dog. And about the second day I brought her home, she, I got her some toys just in case, and she destroyed all of them
Right.
within like 15, 20 minutes. No, she's, still very much a puppy. She's been through a bunch of trauma, and she has, basically, I think, realized that she's able to chill out with me and, really be herself, and that, like, I'm still gonna love her through the challenge. And I think, that expectation is when we set certain expectations, um, and things don't live up to those expectations or turn out the way we expected. I think it's oftentimes a point of potential contention
Right.
that, like if we have, if I thought that she was going to be this chill dog and now she's crazy and wild,
Right.
there could be some people who would be like, well, this isn't my dog. Like
Right.
this is too much. I can't deal with it. And I think that's where the potential for harm in a way around expectations comes through. But
Right.
what I've experienced and what I've learned and how I approach expectations is that expectations are normal, like we have them with situations and things like that, but when we allow the reality of the situation, if it's different than what our expectations were,
Mm.
and we allow that to completely derail the situation, then we're not actually looking at the connection as a way for growth. So
Right.
expectations to me are like sort of setting an initial almost intention of how like the ideal situation would be, or even if your expectations are bad, like if you expect the worst in something, it's setting us up for, I think, just trying to understand how to deal with something. But then when the reality is different than the expectations, that's where I think it's actually a potential for growth.
Right.
And
Wow.
yeah, and so like, I'm not giving her back. To circle back to my dog Indy, it's like I'm just learning to relate to her and give her different types of attention and work through some of the separation anxiety. And and it's helping me grow into that space of like, if this is not what I expected, it's learning how to just go with the flow
Right.
move through uh, just what reality is giving me.
No, I I really appreciate that, and I mean, and I can see it in real time. For me, expectations for many years was, I would say things like, I don't have any expectations because as a child, I was, my story that I remember, I don't know if this was the truth, but I never got what I wanted. Every time I expected something to happen or wanted something, had this expectation of something, it would never go the way I wanted. And so I just felt, my life is terrible. Nobody cares about me. Nobody loves me. Nobody wants to fulfill my desire. So to like survive that, said, you know what? I have no expectations. So I just like, my birthday, you want anything for your birthday? No, whatever you get is, it's good, whatever. And so there was this resignation in me that I was just going to, it wasn't even grateful. I wouldn't even say that, I'd be grateful whatever I get. It's just like, I
Yeah.
would just deal with whatever I got, you know,
Right. And
and
there's a certain like numbing that comes with that.
right. And so this, you introduce yourself with the label dreamer. It's like, I'm a dreamer too. So it's like, how do you dream, right? And
Yeah.
have no expectations, right? And so, it's like,
Yeah.
so there was this fight within me that it was like, damn it, these are the things that I want. These are the things that I desire. But I am not going to expect that this is going to work out.
Mm,
And so I've been like dealing with that, and because there has been some big things that I've gone after, and I went after something that cost my family, $500,000.
mm,
And what it caused, what happened within me was, I can't even do dreams right, right? I
yeah.
can't, so
Yeah.
I don't need to be doing this.
Mhm.
And so this word kept on coming up for me because this week the dreamer was like activated, and it was like,
Mhm.
oh damn, right?
Yeah.
And this big, audacious thing is like, potential in front of me, that it's like, all right, do I have expectations that this is going to work out, that I'm going to do what I need to do, to do this? Or am I going to, you know, just kind of just let this go? And when you were sharing that, when things don't go out as planned, that's the growth aspect. And I was like, no, I want my way, right? Right? No, I want this to work.
Well,
You know,
yeah, and I feel you on that because I've definitely my career is even starting with college, my expectations of college were very different than the reality of it.
mm,
And um, I think the big difference between expectations and plans is that expectations are the you can have that expectation of like, I expect this to work out,
right,
like I expect this to be good. But planning is different. So, meaning like, I'm going to plan based on these expectations,
right,
and plans can change. Whereas expectation to me, especially around dreams, is like the North Star guiding light. Like, I
Right.
expect myself to be successful. How it looks may be different than
Right.
what I'm currently imagining, but my expectation is that I am capable of doing that, and it's just a matter of time. So like
Right.
if this isn't working and like I'm doing the best that I can do, then it's because something has to change in order for the for me to meet that expectation, if that makes sense.
No, I totally got it. Within my one day in my meditation this week, I clearly heard, um, do the plan and
Mm-hmm.
then surrender the plan. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, no, no. It's like I am not going to put like hours into this and then just let the damn plan go. Right.
Yeah.
And
Well,
just like, and just see what happened. And it was like, and it's like, maybe that's the lesson. That's the thing. And that it's going to work out, not probably as planned or not as planned, or it's just going to work out. I don't know. And that's like,
yeah. And I think the word surrender to me is another, like, not trigger word, but it's another word that, like, I think we often hear the context of surrender in war, right?
right.
It's like
Hmm.
there's this fight and this energy, and it's like this clashing, and one person surrenders and then the other takes over,
Right.
And to me, that is not what surrender is in terms of dreaming or growing.
Mm.
Surrender to me is softening.
Mm.
So stepping out of like the type A, like fight, gonna get it all done, make lists,
Right.
all of that kind of mentality, and say like, I'm going to do that, but I'm surrendering the outcome that, like, I'm detaching from that outcome only in the sense that it can be even better than I imagined.
Right.
And it's funny. So as I introduced myself, I also, I shared that I'm the founder of Intimacy Live, and I'm also a part of this fine art frame shop locally. Um, called 5 Points Framing, and that was a surrender moment for me,
Mm.
because my business was not doing what I had hoped it to do because I wasn't showing up in the way that I needed to,
Right.
because I was feeling really super triggered and unsafe by something that happened. And it I didn't have someone like cheering me on, like, it's okay, like, you got this, like, don't listen to this person, or like, you clearly triggered this person because you're doing something good, and like you've
Right.
had great clients, and I didn't have the capacity to do that for myself, and I didn't have somebody doing that for me. And so I was
Right.
like, I need to, in the interim, figure out a way to take care of myself differently.
Right.
And so I found this. I was looking for part-time jobs, and I made a list, and I was like, and it wasn't a list of like, this is what I want to be doing, but I was like, I want to work for a company that values every part of me showing up,
Right.
my creativity, my yogic perspective, my woo woo, believing in the universe energy kind of thing,
Right.
as well as my badass business skills that I know
Right.
that I possess.
Right.
And sorry, I'm laughing because my dog just stole a ball that is not really hers, but that's okay.
Right.
um, but so that was one of the
That's what you
expectations.
wanted, right? Hmm.
And I also said I want to be a part of something that is focused on creativity, and is like focused on empowering women. I didn't say I want to work for this company. I didn't say I need to do XYZ like in my day to day. I put the expectations out of like really the parts of the job that like was more about energy.
Right.
And uh and so like just in a serendipitous moment, I ran into my friend Chelsea, who owns the frame shop, and she basically, I was like, oh, woman owner, women business owner to woman business owner, how's everything going? And she like opened up and was like, it's horrible. I can't find good help. It is so frustrating. And I was literally sitting there applying to jobs where I was like, I don't want to do any of these jobs. Like nothing about any of this stuff is like exciting to me.
Right.
And so I was like, well, what do you need help with? And so she described the job, and I was like, I can do all of those things. And and so like I basically was like, well, would you be open to me like giving it a shot? And she was like, oh my God, okay, absolutely. This is kind of weird. And really, like from day one, we both work so well together
Mm.
and communicate in a way that is like very different than what we've both experienced in other, work environments. And
Right.
so, now we are becoming partners in this business. And my expectation was that like this, I was just going to find a part-time job to help me pay my bills until I can like get Intimacy Alive back, on track to be my main source of income.
Right.
And in reality, it's the reverse. Like I
Mm.
am part-time in my business now because this is my life's work, and this is something that it is my creative outlet, and is something that, oh, and that was the other thing. I wanted a job that like was creative but didn't suck up all of my creative energy so that I
Got it.
couldn't like have anything left over for me.
Right.
And so my expectations were that like this was just going to be a temporary thing, and now the reality is like it is way better than I ever imagined, because
Right.
we are that support system for each other that can remind each other on bad days like why we're doing this,
Mm.
and we can celebrate each other's genius and be in the space of like really uplifting each other and standing for each other's dreams outside of what we're currently doing, in addition to what we're doing, because we recognize the uh, capableness of
Mm.
what we're each bringing to the table. And so it's been just an unbelievable uh, sort of like transformation and journey for me that, was not expected, except for the fact that like this meets all of those expectations
Right.
of, or the all of those criteria that I
Right.
was searching for.
Yeah. It's, thank you for sharing that. And that's because it kind of helped me, um, I guess, just deal with something within me, that
Mm,
there are many times that there are situations or there are opportunities where my expectations, of that is, is a certain way. And then the working out of it meets it or exceeds it, right? Um,
yeah.
but that formula doesn't work when I put it on people, right?
Mm, yeah.
It's usually the opposite. It's like for me, it's like when I put an expectation on people, it's usually they barely meet it or they let me down.
Mm,
And I'm just trying to I'm trying to make that mean something and not make that mean something. Is
mm,
that sometimes I am a it's harder for me to put an expectation on people.
mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry, it's wrong. I said it wrong. And because I just said that, it's like I heard in my head, that's not right. Right? It's like,
Yeah.
but it's harder for me to put expectations on my dreams, on stuff, on things like that, because I want to do it right, perfectly, all that,
Mm,
so can kind of just
yes.
go, hey, this is what it is. I'm going to
Nope.
show up and it's going to be great, right?
Yeah.
And that experience of that. But in some cases, it is very easy for me to put it on people and then hold them to this standard that many times they have no idea, they have no, there's no relationship to, and then I'm like pissed off because they're not meeting, all this stuff. And then it's
Right.
like I did it to myself.
Yeah. And, that's something that I feel like I have for a long time taken for granted the fact of communicating expectations.
Hmm.
Like, that is something that I think, you know, is uh, it's underrated,
Right.
uh, or like in a way that, sorry, she's behind me chewing on something. So chewing on something she's not supposed to because it's not her toy. Um, so the whole so coming back to this idea of expectations or communicating expectations with someone
Right.
is, and it's different like if someone's working for you, but if you are building no if you are building a relationship with someone, like I'm trying to set expectations right now with my dog,
Right.
um, then you're equal in the sense that there's room for expectations to how do I say this? It's like with Chelsea and I, for example, uh, it wasn't an expectation that I would be a partner right off the bat,
Mhm.
and that is something that like developed because it was like, wow, I really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm showing up in a way that like it really is my full self, coming to the table.
Mhm.
And my expectations is that like we can grow this together. And so when I communicated that with her, that, like, is that something that she would even be open to? She was like, oh my God, I literally I've wanted a partner in this the whole time, but she had like four other people that backed out on her.
Hmm.
And so, you know, so she had that expectation all along, and people were constantly not meeting it.
Right.
And then I came along and I was like, hey, like, is this even an opportunity? And she was like, hell yeah, let's do it,
Right.
And so again, like, if she so communicating expectations, and I guess I'll make my point now because I feel like I've been rambling a bit, but expectations with a person, I think, is if that person isn't meeting your expectations, it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that somebody else won't.
Right.
It
Got
means
it.
that this person in front of you right now is maybe not like capable of rising to the occasion, or it's not, and it's not to put anything bad on them, but it's like they may just not be capable of doing what you're asking.
Got it.
And that doesn't mean that nobody, or like that anybody is incapable.
Right.
It just means that the right combination hasn't necessarily come through yet. And I think that's where we can often get caught up in expectations with people, is that, we feel like, well, this hasn't happened yet with a person. And dating, for example, for me is like, I'm still single and I'm looking for a partner in life,
Mhm.
and if I had the expectation of like, I have failed past relationships and that just means that no man will ever live up to my expectations,
Right.
that's just not true.
Right.
Like, that's, and that doesn't mean that I won't ever be let down again
Right.
by someone who meets the majority of my expectations. Um,
Yeah, it's kind of the interesting thing about that for me is that it's so I'll speak for myself. There's so many times where I will make that assessment. I will say, hey, because this happened, right?
mhm,
Um, this will always happen, or nobody, because this person let me down. Everybody will, let me down, and
right.
it's like I'm just
Hey,
wondering why.
sorry.
Um,
She's now chewing the floor. Hey. Oh my
it's
goodness.
it's
That is the
like
first time she's done that. Sorry.
right. So it's that thing to let people um I don't want to say let people off the hook or kind of put people on the hook or something. Here's a thing that was coming up, and I don't know if this is connected or not, but sometimes it gets kind of dicey for me. The difference between within a relationship, right? And I think in opportunities and everything, um, the difference between expectations and boundaries,
Mm,
right? And it's like
mhm,
sometimes I feel like when I'm setting my boundaries, if it's my values or whatever the criteria of the list of the things, and it's like I'm checking things off. This is what I'm going to honor. This is what I'm going to do. And then people bump up against that. Is that an expectation or is the you know what I mean? It feels like it's like the same
mhm.
and different. And it's like sometimes um, if they come too close to my boundaries, I've let they've let down my expectations because my expectations for me. And it feels like I don't know why I just started kind of like thinking out loud, but it
Mhm.
feels like it's like the end result, right? It is like I have determined it's like I'm going along with something and then feel like um, this might work. So um, I'll declare my expectations weren't met, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of go from there. And just I wonder if I'm like confusing things and adding other things into it.
Mm. Well, and I think that that's a good point because like we're you know, again there's like employee expectations. It's like, if you're in a particular job, then you have expectations of like what is going to be accomplished and like what
Right.
your responsibility is. And if you don't meet those expectations, then that's a problem, right? And there's learning opportunities and growth, and maybe it's also a learning opportunity for the person that's doing the like managing in a way. And that, like maybe you put someone in a role that they're not really that they'd be better suited in something else.
Right.
um and so like that idea of someone not meeting your expectations, I think like that's a valid it's valid. It's like
Hmm.
you can have an expectation and someone can not be meeting it. And in any different type of relationship.
Right.
But I think where the difference, or where the for me, where the like uh opportunity comes in is understanding like not the why the expectation isn't being met, but
Mm.
how sort of like using that as an opportunity for connection rather than disconnection.
Got it.
Meaning
Okay.
like let's address this. Like, did
Hmm.
I not communicate my expectation clearly?
Right.
Or am expecting something of you that is maybe a bit too, like it's too big of an ask?
Right.
Or is it that like your interpretation of my expectation is something completely different than what like how you interpret it is different than what I was actually asking for, you
Right.
know? Or is it that you just feel like you always fuck something up, and so you're, self-sabotaging, and
Right.
you're also upset that you're not meeting this expectation,
Right.
and
Mm.
so there's that opportunity to, like, again, not get stuck in the missed expectation,
Got it.
but to continue to connect through that missed expectation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does, and it's kind of you're speaking, and the way you're breaking it down. It's like that is like self-talk conversations with myself around
Mm,
dreams, and things that I
yes.
want. It's like, I have unreasonable expectations for my dreams, right? And it's
Mm,
like, dude, do you not understand? Yeah,
yeah.
what are we doing right now? Right? And it's that type of thing. It's like, why do you think that was a dream? Why do you think you had to do it that way? I mean, it's like, it's
Yeah.
that, you know, I wonder if there is this communicating expectations to yourself. You talk about
Mm,
communicating your expectations to other people. How
yeah.
can we have that honest communication with ourselves about our expectations? Right?
Ooh, I just got chills.
Right? I mean, it's like
Yeah.
that's sometimes. Oh, I was just saying, I let myself down.
Yeah.
Because there is not this clear
Mm,
understanding of my expectations.
yeah. I
And
am right there with you. Wow.
yeah, so it was like I guess I had to be playful to get there. So it's like, or that would have been a little bit more painful.
Totally. Totally. And it's like
Oh,
that's you always say it's like we both learn something through these conversations, and to me that is something that, like, I don't know, like, I have check-ins with at the frame shop, and we check in every 2 weeks, is like, what's going well, what do we need to focus on,
mhm,
what do we need to grow. And I don't think that I really have done that for myself. Like, check
mm,
in, I've done yearly reflections,
right,
um, but in terms of, like, yeah, checking in with my expectations and reality, and like how I'm approaching those expectations for myself.
right,
Um, yeah, that's a new practice. That's a new practice for me.
right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we could talk about this for hours, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many things coming up, and I think I need to adapt this new practice too, because I believe that there are going to be some big things that are happening now and down the road that, unless I'm willing to have these expectation check-in conversations with myself, it's it can get painful really quick. Right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, is there anything that you got from this conversation that you want to leave everybody with?
Yeah. I would love to remind people that expectations are 100% normal.
Mm,
And uh, figuring out a way to have a relationship with your own expectations is a way to create a bit more space between the attachment to the outcomes that can often get us stuck in the stories or disappointments,
Right.
and getting into that place of reminding yourself it's okay to have expectations.
Mm,
And if they're not met, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong or bad about you. It just means that, there's a further exploration that needs to occur.
right.
Um, and that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with you if somebody doesn't meet your expectations. It just means that there's an adjustment.
Right. Well, thank you. It's like I was going to say, it's like, all right, see you in 30 days or less.
Right? That's an expectation.
Yeah, that's the expectation that
Yeah.
I'll see you again. I'll see you again soon, and we'll have another wonderful
Yeah.
conversation here. Thank you
Mhm.
very much, Abby.
Thank you, William.
This has been wonderful. Oh, expectations. Uh, I think that what I'm getting from this conversation is that there's a practice of checking in and really looking and seeing where I am, what I'm feeling. And so the more that I'm able to do that, I can manage my emotions and my thoughts and my fears and my concerns so I can show up for myself. And so, yeah, I hope this conversation has brought value to you, not just to your day, but to your life. I invite you to reach out to me at imwilliambrown.com for your complimentary coaching session to help you be yourself and live your life. Another thing that I wanted to remind you that for the next 15 days until April 30th, um, I am having the Man of the Year, the Man of the Year fundraiser, where I am raising $30,000 for LLS. So I invite you to do whatever you can. But right now, I have a campaign of $90 with 333 people donating 900. I'm sorry, $90 or whatever you want to do, right? But yeah, this has been a wonderful journey that we've been on, and I'm just up for making a difference along with you because the world wants you, the world needs you, but the world isn't waiting for you. So go you. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you next week on One Word Conversations.